Yo, welcome to part 5 of my videos over the rules, card setup, and everything else about my new original trading card game that I created. This is part 5, Warzone setup, game phases, and game modes. So yeah, if you haven't seen part 1, 2, 3, or 4, you should definitely go head over onto my channel and watch those, unless you just don't feel like it and you just feel like watching this. I mean, hey, as long as you watch it, I don't care. But yeah, if you want to learn everything about it, definitely go watch those and then come back to this one. Uh, yeah, so let's just jump into it. Warzone setup. Warzone. The warzone is the word used to refer to the front lines supporting fire sections and war vessel zones collectively. Front lines. The front facing area closest to your opponent and furthest away from you. This is one of the two areas in which soldiers are placed. The player may choose to put the soldiers on either as long as it meets the requirements. The front lines can only hold up to 4 soldiers unless stated otherwise. There must be no soldiers within the front lines before the soldiers within the supporting fire section can be targeted by attacks or abilities unless stated otherwise. Supporting fire. The middle area in between the front lines, the power zone, and the armory and tactics section. This is one of the two areas in which soldiers are placed. The player may choose to put the soldier on either as long as it meets the requirements. The supporting fire can only hold up to 4 soldiers unless stated otherwise. There must be no soldiers within the supporting fire section before a player or players general may be targeted by attacks or abilities unless stated otherwise. War Vessel Zone. An area for 2 war vessel cards to the left of the front line section and an area for 2 war vessels to the right of the supporting fire section. The player may choose which position to place the war vessel as long as it meets the requirements. Only 2 war vessels may be placed within the front lines war vessel zone, and only 2 war vessels may be placed within the supporting fire section war vessel zone unless stated otherwise. Armory. Area behind the supporting fire section and in front of the tactics section, power zone, junkyard, and smelter. When a weapon card is played, it is put into the armory until it is attached to a card. The armory can only hold 4 cards, unless stated otherwise. If a weapon card is taken off of the card it is attached to by any means, it is put into the armory. But if the armory is full, it is instead sent to the junkyard. Tactics section. The area in front of the power zone and in front of the armory. When a battle tactic card is played, it is put into the tactics section. The tactics section can only hold 4 cards, unless stated otherwise. A battle tactic can only be played during the owner's turn. A battle tactic stays on the tactics section until it is removed by some means. Power Zone. The area behind the tactics section and closest to the player and furthest away from the opponent. The power zone is where power cards are placed into the power zone until they are used as payment or removed by other means, in which case it is placed into the junkyard unless stated otherwise. There is no limit to the amount of power cards which may be within the power zone, but only 4 ultra power cards may be within the power zone at one time unless stated otherwise. You may only play 1 power card per turn unless stated otherwise. Junkyard, the area to the left of the power zone, where dead or discarded cards are placed. The cards within the junkyard can be returned to the Warzone hand or deck with the abilities of some cards. Cards within the junkyard are still in the game, but off of the Warzone. Smelter. The area to the left of the junkyard where cards sent to the smelter are placed. The cards within the smelter are outside of the game and cannot be returned by any means. General's Quarters. The space directly behind the power zone in which an enhanced soldier is placed in the General's War game mode. The General's Quarters is not used outside of the General's War game mode. Okay, that was a lot to go over, so here's a picture of what the whole board looks like. There's the War Vessel Zone front line, the regular front line, supporting fire, armory, tactics section. There's the War Vessel Zone for the supporting fire section, tactics section, power zone, and then junkyard and smelter are right beside those two. That was a lot to go through, so if you want to go back and read it, you can. But here's the picture of it for the regular game mode, which I will be going over the game modes very soon in this video. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. Game phases. Draw. You draw a card. At the beginning of each turn, the player draws one card from the top of the deck. All players have a maximum hand size of 5 unless stated otherwise. The opponent may use a victory card during this phase unless stated otherwise. Power source. Play a power source or ultra power source, 1 per turn unless stated otherwise. After the draw phase comes the power source phase, in which the player places a power source card into the power zone. The power zone may hold any amount of power source cards, but it may hold a maximum of 4 ultra power cards. The player may only place 1 power source or ultra power card per turn unless stated otherwise. No power source cards may be placed after the initial power source phase unless stated otherwise. The opponent may use a victory card during this phase unless stated otherwise. There's one thing that all of these phases have in common. The opponent may use victory cards because they're able to be used at any time, even on an opponent's turn. So I'm just going to go ahead and try and avoid saying that so that it's not that repetitive. But yeah. Place section. Play soldier, war vessel, war, victory, battle tactic, weapon, or enhancement card. After the power source phase comes the place phase. During the place phase, the player pays to play any cards. The place phase allows for use of any card type except power source unless stated otherwise, as long as there is a sufficient amount of power source to pay the costs and it meets all requirements needed. Board. Board soldiers onto war vessels if able, unboard any unwanted soldiers if able. The board phase is after the place phase. The board phase allows the player to board any soldiers onto war vessels that are currently unboarded or have too few pilots to be activated and to unboard soldiers from unnecessary war vessels. Moving on, battle/damage, activate attacks or abilities and choose targets for each. Each action made during the battle phase is then completed. The battle phase is when all soldiers, enhanced soldiers, and boarded war vessels may attack or use one ability. So they either attack once or use one ability. You can't attack and then use an ability, it's just one or the other. No soldiers may use an attack while any other soldiers are boarded. Oh, wait. No soldiers or boarded war vessels within a player's supporting fire section may use an attack while any other soldiers or boarded war vessels are within their own front line section, unless stated otherwise. Sorry about that. I spoke wrong and read it wrong, but yeah. Soldiers and boarded war vessels may use abilities while they are within the supporting fire section, even with other soldiers within the frontline section, unless stated otherwise. Each action made during the battle phase is then completed and occurs. Secondary place. Play a soldier, war vessel, or victory, battle tactic, weapon, or enhancement card. Place a power source card if one was not yet placed during the turn unless stated otherwise. This is the final place phase, allowing the player to place any card type playable during the initial place phase unless stated otherwise. The opponent may use a victory card during this phase unless stated otherwise. And then end. Turn is ended. The opponent's turn now begins. The turn is ended, and it is now the opponent's turn. And then, yeah, they can use victory cards during that. So yeah, that I know that was a lot, but I think I went over it good enough. Even if I didn't, I'll do a longer video after I, workshop this a little bit more and get everything fine tuned and perfect. And I'm currently working on making new cards and everything for it too. So I mean, that'll definitely help me understand more about what I need to change for the rules. But yeah, let's just go ahead and move on and talk about the rest of this stuff. Okay, time to talk about the game modes. General's War. In this game mode, you place an enhanced soldier card onto the general's quarters. The enhanced soldier acts as any other soldier. Once the enhanced soldier is killed, the game is won by the individual who was able to defeat the enemy's enhanced soldier. Just as in the rules, the enhanced soldier cannot be attacked if there are any soldiers within the front lines or the supporting fire section, and the enhanced soldier within the general's quarters is completely immune to all opponents' event cards and abilities. This makes the goal of defeating the enhanced soldier a daunting task. So yeah, that's General's War, which is one of the two main uh game modes that I've come up with, and then Enemy Brawl, which is in this game mode, the general's quarters are not used. The players themselves are the enemy. Each player begins the game with 50,000 life. Once the player is killed, the game is won by the individual who was able to defeat the enemy. Just as in the rules, the player cannot be attacked if there are any soldiers within the front lines or the supporting fire section, which makes the enemy much more difficult to kill. Uh, and then there you go. Front line, supporting fire, armory. I mean, it's the same exact board except the general's quarters had been added. This is what the board will look like if you play the general's quarters or the general's war game mode. But yeah, that's it. I hope you've liked all of these videos about the trading card game. I I don't know if this video gets 5 views and 5 likes. I don't know, at least 5 views and at least 5 likes. I'll make a video talking about all the cards I've made. But yeah. I hope you've all liked this so far. Coming up with this game is really fun, and I think it would be really fun to actually get it made and start playing it. But yeah, if you want more videos about it, even though all the parts of how the game works is done, tell me. Thank you all for watching. Like, subscribe. See ya.